Totally. And there's another question that comes to mind in this discussion, which I've heard from people, which is um, when I'm on the path and I've been doing all this work and I'm trying to build this business, but it's not working,
Mm.
or like I'm not getting the traction that I feel, even though I'm pouring my heart and soul into my spiritual path, into my practices, into pouring out into the world, all of that I know and understand. So I'm curious what you would say to people about that.
Yeah, this is something I'm learning myself or unlearning. I should say. Because what that has is the energy of hustle and doing. And so I'm not sure exactly what that specific person is, but that's what I'm hearing from it. And what that means is you're not giving yourself break and a rest. And your own sense of rejuvenation. And this is something I had to learn even a year ago. I took a break from my business. I had to totally unhook. Is this what I really want? I took 4 or 5 months off. It was probably the scariest thing I ever did because I'm from that culture where we do 24/7, and now we can online order and have people bring things to us. And that's in me. I learned that. And I learned, if I don't show up enough, then no one feels like I'm not really there for them. But we all need energetic boundaries, and we all need to follow Mother Earth and the seasons. There's a time to harvest. There's a time to rest. There's a time to, sow your seeds, all of that. And I mean, I've followed a lot of people who are starting to understand the divine feminine in the cycles, whether it's through the moon or through the seasons. We're not meant to have everything all the time. There's a reason. We're a part of Mother Earth. We have to remember that too. So give yourself some love. Don't shame yourself. Like, I've been, that energy, and it's arrived to me as recently as the other day. So I'm talking from like real time experience. You want something so bad. You have this vision and your heart is full. Let it go for a little bit and breathe. Read a book. Do something else. I think that's the invitation when I'm working, I'm pouring my heart into it. Yes. Are you giving some love to yourself is how I would answer that.
Mm-hmm.
Chances are no, because
Mm-hmm.
we're used to this. The
hamster wheel.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the sim, but I
yeah.
the words. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think one thing that I hear you speaking to in between the lines as well is this trust piece again. And what is occurring to me to ask you is, what's your relationship with safety? Like, how do you know that you're safe? How do you cultivate and connect with an embodied sense of safety? Where does that come from for you?
Such a good question. It's very intuitive of you because that was a big breakthrough for me in my coaching. And it's the lesson I'm most here to learn is to trust myself as well as all of my clients. For me, it's energetic. It lands right in my solar plexus and into my sacral and in my heart. So I know I'm safe by the words people say and how they're saying it. And I can feel that it's okay to open up. And there's probably other cues, but I'm a big sound person too. And I can just tell I'm safe in this space. Also by their actions too. There's visual cues, but there's so little that I couldn't really articulate that. But that's for me when I feel safe. And I'm also unlearning that I can find safety in myself. I don't have to rely that on the person in front of me. That's something I'm moving into more as I'm getting more and more public about myself. And this is my growth edge and I'm totally being transparent about it. I've been publicly putting stuff out under my own public profile, and that was a big scary thing for me. and I still have one step to go. But, I'm thinking about the people who I grew up with, and I'm thinking about my parents, and I won't lie, I've compartmentalized some things to keep me safe. And that's okay. I'm okay with that because I trust in what I've done. And when I feel fully safe in myself, I know it'll just be a matter of pressing that button. Not any time before. I want to say that. I can sit here and hold that for somebody, go, tomorrow, do 5 posts on how much blah, blah, blah. You need to feel that in you, right? And, there's no shame if you're not ready, especially if you had an experience that made you feel shame around your abilities, or if anybody said you're not good enough to be a healer, or any kind of, that makes us go back in. And that takes a while for us to heal and feel safe again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it totally is a process. And I love what you're saying. I say the same thing, but it is totally a process to land there, which is our own inner truth and knowing can be a resource of safety.
Yep.
It can be a resource of safety. And in fact, it is really our only and our most powerful resource of safety.
Exactly. Because, I have some really good friends who help me through stuff, and they can say all the right things. But there be days where I'll hear it and I'll be like, I can't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
We're very powerful in how we create our world. And sometimes it's okay to be with that crappy feeling, not feeling good enough, and finding and asking questions. Why do I feel this way? Why is this coming up? I'll tell you when they really happen is when you're moving on up, when you are growing. They come out to say, get back in. What are you doing out here? And there was a great analogy I learned a long time ago about, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, about when crabs are put in a pot and there's the steam starts.
Yeah.
And there's always one that's smart enough to climb on top of the others to get out. You know what the other crabs do? Pull you back down. Mm-hmm. So whether it's your limiting beliefs that are trying to protect you, or somebody reflecting what your limiting beliefs are trying to tell you, there's always going to be something that says, go back, go back. What are you doing? And it takes courage to keep going and to face it down.
So if somebody who's listening to this is feeling like they're called to something more, mm-hmm. what one piece of advice or tool or practice would you give to that person?
So in the sense of showing up
as kind of a first step, like let's say somebody's listening to this and they're like, I know that I'm supposed to be doing something more than what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. What do you feel like would be the thing that you would tell them or want to leave them with from this conversation?
Yeah. Trust everything that you're hearing right now. Open up a book, open up a journal and start writing. Whether it's just connecting with yourself. So for me, it's always writing, maybe voice clipping these thoughts and feelings, because you're getting the messages now. And it feels like you don't understand it, but once you start writing it, it will be clear. And invite more answers. Honestly, journaling has always saved me. And I'll ask while I'm in the middle of writing this thought down, I'm having a bad day. I need some help. And then I'll get an answer. Well, go have a cup of coffee or, whatever. It's just being silly, but that's connecting with you. You have the answer.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking for a how, that's in the head. Get into the heart. And the best way to do that is making a space so you can hear yourself. And sometimes I'll do voice clips and listen to my own voice and I'll be like, oh yeah. It sounds simple, but it is a game changer. It does help.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. Making space so you can hear yourself. Super, super valuable. Susan, how can people find you?
Well, I have a website, susandevereen.com. I finally got my domain straightened out to just be my name. I'm also on Instagram at the Intuitive Empath Coach. and also on Facebook under that same name, Intuitive Empath.